Hey everybody, Molly Winkle from Big Block Realty here. We put together this series of classes in short, digestible form for you to enjoy and learn from as your business grows. Let's get started. Okay, writing and accepting offers that make you look smart. We've kind of talked about this a little bit when we talk about helping your sellers pick the right offer. But a lot of times what we don't really discuss is how buyers can write the offers in a way that makes them look smart and have sellers counter them in a way that looks smart. You want to make sure that your timelines make sense. Okay, so when we start talking about appraisal contingencies and that sort of thing, when you shorten the appraisal contingency down to 3 days, I just know that you're stupid and you don't understand how this game works, because there's no way that you're going to get it back in that time period. By making the inspection period, we talked about this before, by eliminating the inspection period completely, that is pointless. I think you're trying to pull something over on me. Filling out the offer properly. You guys, all of the information is on there, and anymore, half the time I feel like sending somebody that, you know, Molly, how do I find this information? And it talks about how Google, and it's a video that shows them how to Google things. You can Google the information, but you need to be able to find the listing agent's phone number, the listing agent's email address, the listing agent's DRE number. You guys don't realize this, but our TCs work behind the scenes when our purchase agreements are not filled out fully. The TCs are actually filling out additional paperwork in order to correct all of those things. If you ever write an offer for me and you have not filled everything out, you're going to get a counter with shit like listing agents, brokers, DRE number 0188, set, right? You're going to get that. Listing agents, DRE number 01963830, right? You're going to get that in a counter, and people look at it and they're like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, you didn't write it in and I'm not dealing with it later. Let's just deal with it now. By the same token, we had an offer that was written and it was poorly written, but it is what it is. It was a high amount. The terms actually weren't so bad, but nothing was filled out. So what did we do on the counter? We filled out buyer to provide best and final offer, contingency timelines, listing agent's DRE number is this, listing broker's this, listing broker's information is this, listing agent's phone number is this, listing agent's email address is this. We had everything in there, and we had written this counter specific to the offer that we received, but we wrote it in a multiple counter offer because we had multiple counter offers, right? So we write it up, send it off to this one particular agent, we send off another one, send off another one. Each one, because the way that I teach my agents to do, is each one is written specific to that offer, even if it says buyer to provide best and final. So why do we do that? Because what do I want in response to that is a BCO, the buyer counter offer, that just says purchase price to be this, and we agree to everything that came on the one before that. Cleaning up all terms. Specific to the RPA. This particular buyer's agent actually called and said, is this a multiple counter offer? Because this seems really specific, like it was written for us. It's because it was. See the names at the top, your clients' names? And he's like, yeah, but you're asking for best and final. And it was like, I don't want to play footsie with you when you tell me best and final and I tell you that the escrow company is going to be open escrow and you go, oh, we're not going to agree to that. I'm not playing with you. Right? So what he actually ended up doing was making himself look really inexperienced by asking, this multiple counter, do you actually have multiple offers? Because this one seems really specific to us. Yes, we do. By the same token, listing agents, you guys make yourselves look stupid, because I once wrote an offer for 14-day escrow, shortened all the time periods, and got a counter back for a 17-day loan contingency on a 14-day escrow. You know what? Awesome. Absolutely. My buyer agrees to that. Okay? Take the time to read it. When you counter out my escrow company with my escrow company, it shows me that you did not read my offer. It shows me that you glanced through it. Some of the bigger teams is where you'll see this, where they have everything that's automated, and it drives me absolutely bananas because it just shows me that they're not paying attention to what's actually coming in. If I'm going to write an offer, I'm going to write that offer and I'm going to put in the escrow company, the title company, the natural hazard disclosure company. I'm going to put in the home warranty company that we're asking for. You guys, what you don't realize is when you write in seller's choice, you're not protecting your buyer, you're not protecting yourself. And in all honesty, you're not protecting the listing agent or the or the sellers. When you write in seller's choice, no one is aware of who that service provider is going to be. Heaven forbid you're the listing agent that doesn't send the counter back that says the escrow company is going to be open escrow. Awesome. Now, in that counter, the buyer has agreed to it and the seller has agreed to who the service provider is going to be, who the escrow company is going to be. If everyone agrees to it, then if something were to ever go wrong, right? We all know wire fraud's a real thing. We have these discussions with our clients. Wire fraud is a very real thing. I will never, ever, ever send you wire instructions. They will come directly from escrow. Awesome. Who's that escrow company? Oh, the seller's going to choose it. What? There's no protections involved there. They don't know. So if it is important to the buyer or the seller, they need to know who those service providers are and research that before they agree to it. So I am always going to write into my offers that the escrow company is going to be open escrow, right? I have a good working relationship with them. Nothing has ever gone wrong. In fact, they've saved my ass a time or two. So fantastic. That's who I'm going to write in. If the seller wants to counter it out, fine. I'm not falling on my sword over the escrow company or any of the service providers for that matter. But write in the name of the company. When you write in seller to choose all, first of all, I know it's not the seller. Right? You and I both know it's not the seller making that decision 99% of the time. It's the listing agent that's making that decision. And when you counter things like that and something goes wrong, then you find yourself when the listing agent chooses the escrow company and they put in things like seller's choice. If everyone agrees to seller's choice and for whatever reason the wire gets lost, right? That's the worst thing that could happen is someone's EMD goes missing. We've already told them if your money goes missing, like it's just into the great abyss and it's gone, right? Let's say in that unfortunate incident, something like that happens and now what, right? The deal, not only is the deal dead, but your seller is pissed because the deal died. Your buyer is pissed because their money is gone. And who is everyone coming after? The listing agent, because the listing agent is the one that chose the escrow company. And the buyer and the seller didn't really know who was going to be providing that service. And guess who the buyer's coming after? Their buyer's agent, because you didn't protect me in this process. You didn't tell me who it was. You told me to sign it. I was following your advice. I was following your guidance. You guys, it's not that hard to write offers and put in all of the service providers. So that way everybody understands who is going to be involved in that. If you set that stuff up front, then we put ourselves at less risk because then it becomes that's who was written in the counter offer. I told you that I've worked with them before, but you knew that going in of who it was. So if it were important to you, then you would have researched that before accepting that counter offer, before accepting that offer written the way that it was. I can't emphasize this enough because I see it too many times where it's written in seller's choice. And I look at that and I just think, number one, that's an agent that hasn't been in one of my classes before. And number two, I'm going to counter it. So when you ask me about that, I'm like, we're going to have a debate and we're going to have a discussion. When you write in a service provider and I counter it out, I feel like you wrote in the service provider, so you actually have more experience because that means that you're writing in who you prefer to work with, even if that's not who I prefer to work with. But I am going to counter that out and write in the service providers. To me, this makes you look smarter than if you're just writing in seller's choice, home warranty, seller's choice. Why? Right? I mean, let's keep it real. The buyer should choose who their home warranty company is going to be. Why does it need to be seller's choice? Now, it does need to be the seller's choice, so to speak, if there's a seller home warranty, seller side home warranty on there, and that's the only time when I'm going to debate that out. But otherwise, for my buyer, I'm choosing it for my buyers. So why are you countering these things out? Read the contract, because the things that happen along the way make you look like you don't know what you're doing. They make you look like you don't care. And when a listing agent sends back best and final on a multiple counter offer, and that is the only thing that was countered, to me, that just looks like you didn't care enough to read it. You didn't care enough to do this properly and actually shore up all of the details. This is your opportunity to shore up all of those details and make sure that before we go into this contract, everything basically is negotiated and debated out. There's a reason that my deals don't fall out of escrow very often, right? And a lot of that is because I write into the purchase agreement that this is what's going to happen. And when they counter, I'm like, awesome. This is what's going to happen. And we've discussed everything. And we don't find ourselves in the end going, oh yeah, I totally forgot. My buyer has a house to sell. Tough shit. You didn't write it in. So when the loan falls apart, guess what? My seller's taking your earnest money deposit. When you, as a listing agent, have a seller who needs to find a replacement property and you don't include the SPRP, guess what? Your seller is homeless. And your seller being homeless versus my buyer being homeless, your seller's gonna lose. I'm just telling you now, because I will press the issue. And I will put it on you as the seller's agent, as the listing agent. You need to find them an Airbnb. You need to pay for them to get a hotel. I don't care what it is. They need to get the hell out. Because no, after the fact, right? After, when we're in escrow and we start debating this kind of thing, oh, well, they need more time. Guess what? The buyers do not have to grant the sellers more time. The sellers do not have to grant the buyers anything. You use your paperwork in order to make you look smart and look like you know what you're doing. But if you screw this up when you're writing offers, then you're writing an offer that leaves so much out there to be questioned, and then you want to debate it later, and then you want to write into the broker department about how, oops, you meant to do this, how do I fix it? And there are times I have unfortunately had to tell people, you are going to end up in court if you fight this. Your seller needs to get out. You need to get your seller out of the property. You did them dirty by not using this one form and allowing them to find that replacement property in time. So when I'm discussing an offer with my sellers and I say it's a 30-day loan, or it's a 30-day escrow with a 2-week rent back and you need to find a replacement property, are you okay moving out in 45 days, regardless of whether or not you found a replacement property, because you want to sell the property? You are going to be homeless. Yes, Molly, I'm okay with that. Awesome, let's accept this one. Otherwise, I need to write the paperwork in that allows us additional time, that allows us the ability to do it. I don't even care. I have one right now. Sellers to find the replacement property. We fell out of escrow the day of closing. They have removed all contingencies on the replacement property. We were able to convince the sellers of that replacement property to wait for us and allow us to get back into escrow, which thank goodness we did. I still did a seller to find a replacement property on that purchase. Why? Because if anything goes wrong on that one, my sellers end up homeless. Even though we are waiting on loan docs on that one. And I do it and I explain to the buyer's agent, look, this is the deal. I'm just accounting for, right, the sky is falling and everything happens wrong, and I'm just protecting my client. I'm sure you understand there's like a 0.01% chance that something's going to go wrong over there because but we're good. But the reality is that we never know, because this is real estate and I've seen some weird shit. So that's where you want to be able to write up your offers that make it look like you know what you're doing. And the easiest way to do that is to write in service providers, to write timelines that make sense, to fill out the listing agent's information, to fill out your own information. Come on now, how bad is that when you don't even put in your own address? That's ridiculous. So make sure that you're filling out the offers completely, that you're actually reading them. And if you are going to be a listing agent and you're going to counter the offer, make sure you read it and you don't counter my 14-day closing with a 17-day loan contingency. That'd be awesome. Thanks. All right.